Mr. Crisp, will you do that for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Please rise.
You can go to the podium. There's the speaker right there. Or, mic.
This is charged up. You have to just say it.
Not a consent.
Oh, there it goes.
I can project my voice.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
that's right.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Father of mercies, we come to you always trusting your love for all of us and that how you will gently guide us during these difficult times. We ask that you bestow upon us the wisdom to make the proper choices, to be able to protect and to be able to guide all the people that put their trust in us as well. Heavenly Father, we ask that you give us clear minds and clear hearts, that we may always do what is right and just, to give you praise and glory, but also to love our brothers and sisters in the proper way. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father Chris.
Thank you.
Thank
Father
you.
Chris.
Should you come?
Have
Okay.
a dog down there or something?
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, citizen comments and public announcements. And it looks like we do not have citizen comments. Public announcements, Mr. Burke, we'll start with you.
No, Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Molina,
I have no comments.
Mr. Crisp,
None at this time, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen.
No, thank you.
Okay, and I would just like to say thank you to everybody. It's been a hard and stressful time for everyone, but we thank you. We're keeping our numbers low with COVID, and I want to say thank you to staff who's worked super hard during this time. Thank you. Agenda item number 3, information from City Manager. Coronavirus updates, Jimos County Appraisal District, City of Alice Certified 2020 Estimate of Taxable Value, Street Repair updates, and Budget Process update.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to go over first, and I'm going to have Patrick also go over some of the COVID updates. But on our city operations, so we are doing some modified operations. All our departments are open. However, we're following the guidelines that the governor has requested and doing social distancing. We have some barriers up, acrylic in some of the places. We're working on getting those for the library, getting them for administration and permitting. We did put a window at the golf course with a speak-through to be able to prevent people from going inside. We are doing the one person per guard at the golf course and things like that. So our fire department, we did something early on, and we went ahead and had a third station outfitted to be able to keep a distance between the different shifts, and that's helped out a lot. And doing some of our staff in public work is coming in 30 minutes early, and that way they won't have to interact as much. So we're doing a lot to keep our employees safe and make sure that we keep the social distancing. The city operations have to continue, and so we're real careful to make sure that we continue all that in a safe manner. Patrick, our fire chief, is going to go over some of the testing that's been done and some of the other things on the COVID updates.
Thank you.
So is it Mike able to pick me up right
Yeah,
there?
you have to push the power.
Test, test. Is that
There it is.
now? Test? Now? Test?
To hold it on.
Press and hold. Okay. Okay, can y'all hear me? I'll just talk really loud. How's that?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so just to go over some of the testing, I know probably one of the big numbers that you guys want to hear is how many people have been tested. And I do have that number. It's an unofficial number. It's really, the way we came up with this number is we actually physically call each doctor and talk to them about how many tests. We don't get to know who's tested or anything like that. It's just a general number, how many people have gone through your office and been tested. So to date, we've had 1,706 people tested, and that's a combination of private labs or private doctors testing and the military forces and state labs that are doing their testing.
What was that number again?
1,706.
Thank you, sir.
Of those, that I know of, there are 63 that are still pending results.
Thank you, Patrick. Great job.
So on the military mobile testing sites, also came into the county and did most of that, or some of that testing, not most of it, just some of it. I believe there's a report attached to the report that you were given. Gives you the breakdown of the military testing sites, but they also did two sites in the county, one in Fremont, one Orange Grove, and they did it. Those combined numbers were 96 people that were tested. So as you can tell, majority of the testing done in the county was done in Alice. They are coming back out to do another round of testing in Orange Grove sometime next week. We don't know the details as far as the date. The state kind of dictates that. So as soon as we know that, we can. I mean, it's not in Alice, it's in Orange Grove, but we can still continue to support that testing and advertise for them. So that's the amount of testing that we've done. So if you guys were yesterday, there was another phase 2 announcement from Governor Abbott, and he opened up a little bit more, or a lot more. Pretty much, I think there's almost everybody that's open at some point, or will be open at some point in the next coming weeks. So he's outlined that, and I believe that's in your packets as well, a copy of what can be open. We're still trying to get some clarification on some of the things. So, for instance, the how many people, we're at the 50% because we have that we're below that threshold that required us to everybody else to be where we could increase up to 50%. That I know of, it does specifically say that people who are required to be at 25% can go up to the 50%, and that includes the new group of people that are allowed to operate at 25%. But as far as if somebody was to come in at 50%, can they go up any higher than that? I don't know yet. I don't know how that answer yet, but we're working on trying to get some clarification on that. And, usually it takes about a day or two just for some of those other state agencies to dissect it and come out with opinions and clarifications and things like that. So we wait. We get guidance from TML, Office of Attorney General, and the Governor's Office, and of course TDEM. So we're as those come through, we'll put those on our Facebook and websites and try to inform as many people as possible. So that's kind of what's going on with the COVID stuff, other than normal COVID, the new normal of COVID operations.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes.
We appreciate your hard work during this time. Extra hard.
I think I turned it off.
Thank you.
On the Jim Wells County Appraisal District, City of Alice Certified 2020 Estimate of Tax Value, you all have the actual estimate of tax value, and this can change, but the total amount for the City of Alice is $790,827,000. And we will get the certified valuation by July 25th. And so this is an estimate. There's still some things that they need to work on. And so to give you an idea, last year certified was $798 million. So it dropped in the $8 million range. But that kind of looks at us on, if this stays the same, it looks like it'd probably be maybe a $40,000 shortfall on tax revenue. So it's not a real big drop from last year to this year, but we will get a revised number. I just want to let y'all know that estimate came in.
What was it again, Mike? I'm sorry.
$790,827,000.
136.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We've been working on a plan for street maintenance, and we've done training on the asphalt zipper that's come in. We actually use it at the landfill road. We have some reclaimed asphalt at the airport, and so we've been using that as well. But we have visited with County Judge Juan Rodriguez and Commissioner Huicho Gonzalez from Precinct 4, and we're in the works of trying to enter into a local agreement with the county to try to get some help with some of the streets that we need. And Commissioner Huicho Gonzalez is wanting to help as much as he can. So what they're thinking is that they'll supply some of the staff for the maintainer and the compactor and the water truck. We'll provide the staff for the asphalt zipper, buy the materials, and we can do some of the streets that are in this precinct. He also has offered to help with the brush pickup also in this precinct as well. So hopefully we'll bring an interlocal agreement to you guys with a nice model like that. He's been doing it in Fremont, and he's really wanting to help. So that should get started, hopefully in the next 45 days. And the budget process update, we're getting close to that. So I wanted to go over kind of what we do, once again, and last year we went over this before, but I'll go over it again. So, we give the information on the budget to our department heads. They get it, mull it over, then they'll send information back as to what their needs are, personnel-wise, revenue and expenses. And we're in the process of doing that. Finance department meets with each individual department. After that, I'll go through the changes that they have and meet with finance, and then have to meet probably individually with each department. This year, we are looking at budget cuts, and some of the departments are already, gearing for that. So they made some cuts as they present to finance. Once that happens, by July 21st, I should have the proposed budget to you guys. Then you guys review it, have a couple of budget workshops. We'll have a public hearing, and then the budget will get adopted by September 10th. We'll get to you guys. So for our next meeting, we want to have the budget calendar, and in the summer, people are in and out sometimes. And so you'll get an email of a proposed dates with budget hearings and workshops. And that way, our next meeting, you'll be able to kind of finalize what dates would work for all of you guys. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 4, discuss, consider, and act upon approval of city council minutes for April 21st, 2020, and April 29th, 2020 city council meetings. If council has reviewed minutes and can do a motion at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the city council minutes for the April 21st, 2020 and April 29th, 2020 city council meetings.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Agenda item number 5, here, status report on April 2020 month-end financial statements and summary of funds, and April 2020 check registers. Mr. Ramos. Thank you.
You're powered on. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Is it on? No, that's the wrong part to hold up. This is your mic, brother. Yeah.
Move it.
Shouldn't have to turn
I
on.
can hear you loud and clear,
Yeah.
Mr. Ramos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening, sir.
Speak up a little bit.
It has.
Been a while. You're rolling.
Is this the wrong slide?
Turn it on, I guess. Oh, help if Jim gets me to the right page, I think.
Hold on one second.
Oh, pretty.
That's more interesting, right?
I know.
There we go.
That's real social distancing.
You get to the first chart.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in the month ending April 30th.
He's fixing it.
The charts. Okay. At the end of April, we should be about 58.33%. Maybe he gets the chart up, but I'll keep talking while he gets the chart up. Our general fund revenues right now are $6,868,937, which is about almost 54%. So we're about 4.5% below where we would be at this time, as opposed to the budget.
That's our adjusted budget though, right? With the adjustments that we've approved?
Yes, those do include, yes, sir. Okay.
We're at what, 4? 4.5. 4%?
4.5% below. And of course, that does exclude the sales tax, true sales tax. The sales tax is only through February.
February, right.
I don't know, do I just continue that? I don't
Yeah.
know where that group.
We've got,
Our property tax year-to-date budget was $1,698,424, and our year-to-date is $2,652,147. So property taxes at over 91% collections. Exhibit B, we have our property tax that includes M&O and INS, and that's $3,792,272. It's about $164,000 less than where we were last year at the same time. Of course, last year's taxable total assessed value was higher than this year, so. Our sales tax was $3,558,334 year-to-date budget, and actual is $2,273,031. On Exhibit C, we have for our budget was $3,050,000, and our actual is $2,747,718. So that's a $302,282 decrease from the budget. If we project that out assuming it stays the same for the next 6 months, then we're looking at about a $604,000 shortfall for the whole year. On Exhibit D, we have our actual 20 versus our actual 19. In 2020, it was $2,747,718. And in 19, it was $3,089,506 for the same time. So it's up about a $341,788 decrease, but that's through March. Occupation of mixed beverage, we've collected 2 quarters and we're at 45% there, so we're below budget on that one. Franchise license and permits is up 47%. Our intergovernmental is at a little over 22%. Charges for services is about 68%. Fines and forfeitures is 51%. Miscellaneous revenues, 46%. Interfund transfers at 55.5%. Our general fund expenses on Exhibit E is $6,667,699, which is 53.33%. So the general fund expenses are down, so that's a good thing. When some of the larger departments, general service is about 52%, and it's under budget. Finance administration is right on at 58.93. Fire department is under budget and your general fund expenditures at 53%. Police department is 53% also. Street maintenance is 58%. Garage is about almost 58%. Parks and playgrounds 51%. Library 53.5%, and interfund transfers 58%. So general fund overall is under the budget. On Exhibit F, we have our 2020 revenues over expenses. General fund is $201,238 in the black. Solid waste is in the negative $136,470. Our utility fund is almost $792,000 in the positive. So utilities is doing pretty good. Airport was $6,812,000 in the negative. That's with the transfer. Golf course is $8,586,000 in the negative with the transfer also. Our hotel motel occupancy tax fund is $8,568 in the negative, and the multi-use complex is $68,527 in the negative with including the transfer. On the last page, we have Exhibit G. We have our 2019 revenues over expenses versus 2020. 2019 for general fund was $521,000, And in 2020, it was 201,238. So that's almost a $320,000 decrease. So most of that is from the sales tax. Solid waste last year was 9,911, and this year is 136,470. Utility fund 2019 was 15,402. This year is almost 792,000. Airport fund was 6,700 in 2019. This year it's 6,800 in the negative. Golf course was almost 11,000 in 2019, and in 2020 it's about 8,500 in the negative. The hotel occupancy tax fund was almost 33,000 in 2019 and 8,568 in 2020 in the negative. The multi-use complex was 85,778 in the negative for 2019, and 2020 was 68,527 in the negative. So that's the financials.
Okay, council, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
No.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Roland? Okay, agenda item number 6, discussion regarding sales tax allocation and discuss, consider, and act upon an ordinance amending budget revisions for the City of Alice fiscal year 2019-2020, budget amendment number 4.
Mayor, so sales tax revenue for the allocation for May, which is March's money, was $474,686. Our budgeted amount is $508,000, so it was a shortfall of about $33,000. We were, from finance department and myself, we were thinking it would be a little bit more than that. So it actually came out, better than what was expected. And as we've done the last 2 months, we will remove that amount from our budget. And so we had posted, or we had added a second inspection clerk position. We don't have it filled, and so we've been doing without it all this time. So what we're asking for is a budget amendment to remove the inspection clerk position. That totals about $32,000. Or to be exact, $32,010.84 is what we're asking for you guys to remove from the budget. And still, the $1,300 difference, we removed more than the shortfall the last 2 times. So we're still doing good there. So that's what I'm asking for you guys to do today.
Okay. Ms. Bowen, any questions?
What was that amount again? 32,000?
$32,010.84.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
Question? No. Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
But you're saying there's going to be more budget cuts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
And we're going to see those in next month? I
Well,
guess.
we're making them as we go, and then, of course, when, through the budget process that we're doing, we're gonna have some additional things that we're gonna take out of the budget. We're removing it every month, so and we're moving things that are the ongoing. There's some salary savings that we have in there, positions that weren't filled, be filled later in the year. So there's money in there for that some of that we just haven't taken out yet. It's a little bit of a cushion because it just wasn't spent until we filled a position. But once we get down, every month is critical here. Next month will probably be a bigger drop, and we'll have to figure out a way to mitigate that as well. But we are going to have an executive session about some budgetary items as well too today.
Okay. Mr. Burke?
No.
No questions? Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Sparsa, thank you. Agenda item number, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion at this time. Council?
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt an ordinance appending the budget with revisions as mentioned by our city manager for the City of Alice fiscal year 2019-2020 budget amendment number 4.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Thank you. Agenda item number 7, discuss, consider, and act upon lease agreement and/or property agreement for multi-use center between YMCA of the Coastal Bend and the City of Alice, authorizing city manager to execute and sign all documents related thereto.
Mayor and Council, so this is Mr. Bud Oliver with the Y of actually Victoria Golden Crest, but also of the Y of the Coastal Bend. We've been working together on on an agreement, and Mayor, you and I and him met early on. And so they finalized an agreement. They do want to take over management of the whole facility, the multi-use pool, inside and outside. And so some of the specifics that are on there, what they're asking for, they prepared a budget, and their budget shows them, and mind you, that they had prepared a conservative budget going into it, and so they don't necessarily anticipate having the loss, this big of a loss, but they are projecting a $76,000 loss. And so in order to go into an agreement, they need to have that mitigated, and so they're asking us, in a sense, to spot them in a sense up to the $76,000. If they don't need it, they're not gonna take it. But that is what they're asking for. They are taking over the entire facility as far as operations. Some of the things that they're asking for is, for us to bear the cost of repair and placement of some capital items as if needed, and we would maintain the grounds. They are going to bore the chemical cost and staff it appropriately and manage it just like a Y. And there's still some small details, or actually not small details. I think they're important details on the insurance side, as far as who's going to be primary and secondary. Either way, if there is a lawsuit, everybody's going to be involved in that. But the requirements that they're requiring of us, as far as the Y typically has, our insurance coverages are higher than their requirements. We want to make sure that they have the proper requirements as well. So Mr. Oliver and I have been talking about that the last few days, trying to finalize that. But other than those things, it's a management agreement that I think would help us get out of managing that pool. The Y does this in a lot of places. The agreement that they sent us was reviewed by our city attorney. This is agreement that they use in a lot of different places. So they've been through it. They know this business, and they're ready to move forward and start. This will be effective June 1st. And so the changes from the contract that you guys have would be under item number 5, where it talks about the YMCA will keep the chlorine and residual pH levels using chemicals purchased by the city. That's gone. They're going to purchase the chemicals, so that's different than what's on your contract. The other part is under 18.1. The city shall pay for the cost of repairs and replacement of parts. That's real general. They'll cover the minor things, and anything to do with capital items we would cover. And they wanted us to provide pre-season maintenance, and I shouldn't say they wanted us. This was their standard language that they had. But pre-season maintenance, cleaning, and prep supplies every year. We agreed to just get things ready year one before they take over in June 1st. Then also the equipment that's there, ongoing. We would provide it one time, the buoys, the straps, backboards, immobilizers, any safety equipment that's there. If they don't have it, we would make sure that they had it before their opening or before they took over on June 1st. And we agreed to just have that as a one-time item. And then initially they were thinking about a $65,000 expense, up to $65,000 of expenses. Based on the revised budget, they're asking for the $76,000. And the only other thing that we're still negotiating out are making sure that their insurance company and what TML requires is going to be in line. And so moving forward, we're not going to have a problem working that out, but the other things we have worked out. So those are the changes to the agreement that was in your packet.
Okay. Ms. Bowen, any questions?
They're asking here as well that it says YMCA of the Coastal Bend will help them promote the facilities. Does that come out of our CBB funds to promote it?
It can. We haven't come up with anything formalized, but it certainly can if we're going to be doing some promotion out there.
Okay. No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chris?
Yeah, going back to the obligations, number 5, where you said the 65 and they actually wanted the 76. Is that our cap? Because from what it says there, it says whichever is the highest, as opposed to a cap. I just want to make sure that we address that because we talked about a cap.
Yeah, the 76, it is. And if I need to clarify that with some language, I can certainly clarify it with that being a cap on the dollar amount,
Did
Yeah.
you say up to?
up to 76.
That's in the contract? Up to?
Yes, it says up to 65,000 on here.
Okay.
But their budget has it at 76. So that's a change on here is being up to 76,000. If they have expenses over that, that's on them.
Right.
That's what I just want to make sure of that because that's secondary or break even, whichever is higher. We want to make sure we address that because during the whole talks that we had, it was always, that was going to be a cap. So let's just make sure that we recognize that and address that, please.
And that's a year, right, Mr. Esparza? A year?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Crisp, any other questions?
No, he had addressed most of the other. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I do. Landscaping, is that a one-time deal also, or are we going to be maintaining landscaping?
No, to clarify, I would say just the yard maintenance. I mean, not landscaping and if they want to do something special out there, that's not going to be on us. But, our parks crews would be able to add that into a regular routine. So it's just maintaining as far as mowing,
Okay.
not landscaping.
One of the biggest issues that I just wanted to bring up was, inside the fence, maybe that should be them because all of that water, all of that waste, when they're cutting and stuff, the cuttings can actually end up in the river. So, the separation of inside the fence versus outside the fence might be something that we look at as well. You know what I mean, in the back.
Yeah, I see.
Anything mowed in the back.
Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Molina?
Yeah, I have a few questions. What is it costing us right now per month to just keep it mothballed?
I did quick math, Mr. Molina, from last month to this month. We had a $10,000 worth of expenses. We went from 243 to 253.6, according to the financial reports that we were just given by
Roland.
Mr. Rowland. So it looks like about 10, but that's just quick spitballing from one financial report month to the next. So.
Yeah, I mean, inside, so even having the pool closed right now, we still have we're going to have the inside costs. The inside where the bathrooms are and the locker rooms, all that is not only for the natatorium side, it's also for the water park. And so the electricity, a lot of the electricity costs, of course, is on the inside as well on that. And those pumps are running still also. So here, yeah, we wouldn't have those costs because they would have that electricity costs and the water costs and those
So you're
things.
saying it's costing us about $10,000 a month, more or less?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Those are
And that's what we
expenses
saw
right
in the
now.
past too, when we had it closed. It's
Yeah.
right around $10,000 to $12,000 a
Being
month.
drained and just sitting there?
Just sitting there.
$10,000, okay. Now, as far as YMCA, are they gonna be paying their own electric bill or water bill and all that?
Water bill,
Okay.
electric bill.
Okay. And I don't know if I have the updated contract or not, because I know you alluded to something here and I couldn't find it, but as far as getting it ready for, I think you had said, I lost it here, when kind of getting ready for the season and just doing it that one time, is it in the contract or not?
Not in the one that you have, but what he and I have agreed to is that, and so if y'all were going to approve it, I would ask for it to be on approve with the changes that I've talked about on here, to stipulate the one time on the safety equipment and the one time on the pre-maintenance prepping and cleaning, to be able to get it done before they take over. Those are the one-time expenses. They had them, the way this contract says, it's kind of ongoing, but we've talked to, he agreed to the one time only.
Okay. Also, as far as insurance is concerned, is that where ours is at? Is ours at $1 million? And no?
No, we're at, so with the, each occurrence, we're at $1 million each occurrence, but operationally, we're at $3 million aggregate, and on the general aggregate, we're $6 million.
Okay, but they just have a minimum or what? I mean,
They have a minimum that this is what they require when they go into an agreement with another entity such as a municipality or something. So the requirements, and you can tell they're not real high on there on the insurance side.
So heaven forbid somebody drown out there. I mean, how is our exposure out there under somebody else's care?
I mean, well, we're both going to have exposure. We own the facility. They're managing it. But that's why on Exhibit
But theirs
E-
is less, right? Their limit is gonna be less, so ours is gonna cover. the
based on
lion's share of it.
our limits, yes.
John? would
Hi,
you like
John.
to-
But we also,
The short answer is no. If they're in operation and they commit effective waste or operative negligence, they do something wrong, who cares what their insurance says? That ultimately their liability will be greater than ours. Insurance, and you know, Mr. Molina, that insurance really doesn't mean how much you're going to get sued for, it just means what they'll pay.
Right.
In this particular situation, one thing that needs to be understood is that we have certain immunities as a governmental entity. One of those is for recreational purposes. Now, there's ways around that, but knock on wood, we haven't been hit with a lawsuit from any of the operations out there that I know of. We've been able to have immunity on pretty much everything that's gone on. And so, you know, yeah, there could be some liability there. We don't know what could occur in the future, but based upon what's happened in the past with us running it in the fashion that we have, we really haven't been exposed a whole
Right.
lot.
Just kinda like renting your house or something, and something happened and then you expose yourself, and, limits are limits, and once they hit the limit, that's it, they go somewhere else. Yeah, I think this is a really good thing. I think it's nice that these folks are interested and they're wanting to kind of partake in the opportunity. Any particular reason why it's only a year and why we couldn't go longer?
I mean, that was what they do on, with their other agreements, but they're going to make an investment here, and they're not planning on leaving. I mean, they're going to be staffing it, and, from talking to Mr. Oliver, when the mayor and I sat with him, the first thing he said is, I can see this being a true Y because of the nature of what it looked like and how it was
And the
built,
location.
the location. And, there's even some space so they can add some of the equipment that they need. And so they're just really impressed with it. And I think that just looking at it and is what got them excited about, being able to provide the services here. And that's what they do for a living. And, he knows that that's their job, and really and truly, they can do it better than we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think it's great for all of us, for everybody here, the community. That being said, I kind of heard some kind of whistling in the bushes about, or rustling in the bushes about, like maybe the county was contacted to maybe help them to talk to them about them maybe getting involved and kind of helping out anyway, or in something like this, since it is kind of out there and it is kind of, kind of help everybody area-wise.
So I would say, so for us, I mean, if we can find a way to help mitigate that 76 that we may have to spend up to, I'd welcome that from any, of the other entities. I know they still have their agreement with the school, and that's what they're banking on also. So the school is putting money into leasing it, and I believe it's going to be the same kind of agreement that we had, that was the proposal with the school and the city. And so Mr. Oliver's been in contact with him as well. But yeah.
Okay, but that's to kind of help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
this-
just generally speaking, the 76, if we can get help from a county to be able to do that, that'd be great. Yeah.
And there is potential for that out there. But the school funding that he's talked about is already in the budget.
Yeah,
So that's already in there. But there is potential for funding from the county, possibly the sheriff, even the DA's office. We just have to make sure that we put Bud in front of that audience and let him reach out for that as well.
The time is of the essence if they're wanting to, they want to start
Definitely.
June 1st. But, I mean, it's a year. After the year, we can see how things go and,
But I'm just talking about them helping us offset our out-of-pocket.
Yeah,
So we're gonna go from
definitely.
10 to 70, and then we got all these budget cuts coming up, and then you just said that you're gonna have all your department heads make all these recommendations, and what do budget cuts sound like to you? I mean, I don't know, I'm asking you guys.
Well, we're at a point now where it's not going to start being the good, it's going to be the bad stuff.
It's never good, you know, so
Exactly.
that's all I'm saying. I know it's probably 6,000 a month or something like that, but it's just the bigger picture, and I don't want to be the one standing out, but, you know, there are just some questions that are concerning to me, you know. Is there a way to network or to kind of get with the county folks and talk about them helping out in this agreement?
Those talks have already started.
They already started, yes.
They've already started. So, yeah, there's been talks about.
I've been
county.
talking to them for months.
I have to.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Positive feed, let's
Well,
just say.
it has to go in front of them, so there's no dedication
Mm-hmm.
from them, because it has to go through their budget as well.
Yes.
And then you have things that could be potential as, you know, depending on what kind of programs the Y offers.
I don't
and-
think we're allowed to talk
Yeah, so-
about
No,
that,
we're not.
John,
So,
right?
there's,
Yeah,
no? I mean,
not of future dealings with the county.
it's just talks that have, there's monies that are out there that are available, and talks have had taken place in order to try to see if they can help us out.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke?
Yes, I was just curious, are we going to continue to maintain any of our own employees there? Will any of ours be there at all?
No.
Okay, right. And they will be providing us, the city and council, with a monthly breakdown, expenses and revenues?
Yeah, that's in the agreement. Yeah, they'll be doing that too.
I had one more question. Do we have any concern with capping any of this, like putting a cap on any of this capital equipment, I guess repairs or replacement that we were going to kind of, obligate ourselves, to committing to? I mean, I know there's some big machinery out there and it's been running a while, it's been sitting a while, it's been used, and, I'm just curious about that.
We can. We can add something to there that, you're looking at, and those pumps and motors and they're pretty big items, but, the kind of some of the numbers that get thrown out whenever something does go bad is the $3,000 to $5,000 range to rebuild something, and sometimes it gets a little bit more. It's not likely that all of them are going to fail. At the same time, they're meant to run for a long time. They're just regular, pool pumps and motors that are just, larger.
But he poses a good question. Would that be something that you would consider putting in
Yeah,
the contract?
yeah.
As far as
And-
cap, what we would cover if so, because it belongs to us in essence.
And so they have a lot of experience in replacing and repairing those because they have so many pools throughout the country. So, if you guys wanted to put a cap on that, we can certainly add that to this contract. And that way we could, it's something that is set.
In addition, Mike, the idea that if for some reason the failure of the equipment is because of negligence on their part, we need to make sure that we're not responsible for something along those lines also.
Some kind of,
But again, like you said, every Y is basically a
what they
pool.
do.
That's what they do. So we should, hopefully they do it right, so.
Yes, something on there.
Mike, you have a boiler and machinery policy on your TML policy that gives you for equipment breakdown. So
Okay.
as long as that property is scheduled on that policy, then the equipment breakdown will be covered under that.
Okay,
Thank you.
There you go.
I have one question.
covered on that end.
Yes, ma'am.
Michael, has in the past, of all these years that we've had it, have we had any major breakdowns where we had to replace equipment like that?
I think we
Cost?
may have to replace one of the motors. A lot of times it's, if you know how these things work, and, it's like a pool motor. If you know how they work, you know that it may not need the whole thing. It may need a certain part, and so.
That is a comment that he mentioned to us. He said, this is what we do every day.
Yeah.
We deal with things like this, and if something were to happen, they know where to get the parts. That's what they do. You know, just in all of us in our businesses, we would know where to fix whatever's wrong. And he did mention, because we did discuss that.
And historically, I
parts.
think our biggest issue there was the heating pump.
Oh, okay.
And then we had one pump go out, and I want to say we also had the UV sanitizer at one point needed maintenance, but that's about it that I can remember.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good.
In the contract, and Mr. Crisp asked a question in regards to the indemnification or if they broke something, and there's a paragraph on page 36 that talks about that they're going to be responsible and hold us harmless for anything that, any losses arising out of, or any injury based upon their actions. And so it's there. It's got a standard indemnification paragraph in there. And of course, we do have insurance coverage because we still own it. We aren't giving it to them. We are having them operate it.
Yes, sir. Okay, counsel. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion at this time on agenda item number 7.
Mayor, I make a motion to allow the city manager to enter into agreement, or negotiate and enter into an agreement with the YMCA with the aforementioned changes to said agreement.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion stands as stated. Thank you, counsel. Agenda item number 8, discuss, consider, and act upon changes to previously approved water park season beginning May 28th, 2020 through September 7th, 2020 due to COVID-19, and authorizing city manager to make changes pertaining to determine the hours and days of operation.
Mayor, I'd ask that this agenda item be tabled. It was placed on there in case the previous one didn't go through, then we would have to be looking at managing that. So I'd ask for this to be tabled
Okay.
at this time.
Council, entertain to table.
Motion to table.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Agenda item number 8, tabled. Agenda item number 9, hear presentation from Carlisle Insurance regarding current and renewal of City of Alice medical, dental, vision, life, and AD&D insurance benefits, and discuss, consider, and act upon issuing requests for proposal on any of the following: group medical employee benefits program, self-insured medical and pharmacy, including stop-loss insurance, administrative services, third-party administrative services, pharmacy benefit manager, employee assistance program, provider networks for medical and pharmacy, wellness, chronic disease management, COBRA administration, telehealth, fully insured group dental insurance, fully insured voluntary vision insurance, group term life insurance, and voluntary supplemental life insurance for City of Alice employees, all in one breath. Y'all have liked. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Get you a shot of oxygen.
I'm telling you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
As just mentioned, the little timeline of the ancillary and the medical insurance is set to renew on October 1st. The insurances are always a 12-month contract and are subject to change due to claim utilization and volume. So with that, carriers are by law required to issue renewals at 60 days in advance. We, of course, request an advance renewal that would put us looking at a renewal date of July. So we're here tonight to recommend the formal request for proposals as read for the month of June. What this will do is will put us in a position to have the coverage advertised the month of June, receive proposals early July, and then use that in negotiations with our current vendors and possibly some alternatives that could result in savings for both the city as well as your employees. So we're right on schedule here tonight, but as mentioned, we do recommend we prepare for an RFP process the following month to again set us in negotiations and finalizing the months of July. This will leave your employees and your staff plenty of time to do open enrollment the month of September and August as well. Our process is we handle the full RFP process and the analysis, the tabulation, and then again to be back here in July with our recommendation.
Council, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No.
Mr. Chris?
Again, that's for all.
Yes, sir, that's
Okay.
correct.
You're recommending for all.
Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 10, hear presentation from Hanson and discuss, consider.
It says consider and act upon issuing an RFP. Do we have to do a motion on that?
Yeah. we can
Oh,
get a
sorry,
motion
sorry,
for
yes, council. I'll entertain a motion at this time. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to issue an RFP on I read them all. Any of the following: group medical and employee benefits, program self-insured medical and pharmacy, including stop-loss insurance, administrative services, third-party administrative services, pharmacy benefit manager, employee assistant program, provider networks for medical and pharmacy, wellness, chronic disease management, COBRA administration, telehealth, fully insured group dental insurance, fully insured voluntary vision insurance, group term life insurance, and voluntary supplemental life insurance for City of Alice employees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Agenda item 10, hear presentation from Hanson and discuss, consider, and act upon approving, issuing an RFP for the construction of landfill cells, Section F, at the Alice Municipal Landfill, and authorizing city manager to approve and sign any and all document related to the construction and completion of said project.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
It's been quite a while since I've been here. There's lots of new faces. City manager asked me to kind of give you an update on the current state affairs out at the landfill. We designed the next sector for the landfill, which is Section F. We did that probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think we completed that in 2016. The city was looking forward to being able to bid that whenever they needed it, and obviously you don't want to spend that money until you need to, and the time has come where that needs to happen. I'm with Hanson Professional Services over at Clerk listed, worked on the last 2 cells that were built over here, and we did the design for Section F, which is the first cell in the western portion of the landfill. It's separated from the currently area that's being currently filled. The plans and specs are there and ready to go. There does need to be an updated survey to that area has been used for borrow for daily cover out there, so the ground contours have changed, so the excavation quantities and backfill quantities will change, so that will need to be updated. There are also a number of other things that need to happen at the same time that the project is being put out for bid, which includes some permit modifications to allow the city not to relocate the entrance. The way the permit was written back in '94, once the landfill moved back to that west side, it stipulated that the entrance would have to be moved to the west and come in from the south off of the county road back over there. And that's due to the Resaca that runs through the site. But back in 2016, we met with TCEQ and got preliminary approval for being able to defer that until you actually move across the Resaca. There's one landfill cell that's permitted for the south side. But that permit modification needs to be done. There's also some groundwater monitor wells and gas probes that need to be installed. So that also needs to happen. And that's basically the state that we're in out there, and that's what we're looking for.
Mrs. Bowen, any questions?
No. Thank you.
Mr. Chris?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Molina?
So I take it we have other sections that are kind of put aside ready, just in case, once we get done with this next section F.
Yeah, the next 2 sections are F and G, and they're side by side. We're proposing to build just Section F now, and then Section G would be built after that once Section F reaches capacity.
Thank you.
Mr. Burke?
Nothing.
And you did say the entrance would have to move or would not have to?
It would not have to move.
Okay, but we would have to,
If we're successfully getting that permit modification, and like
Permit
I said,
modification.
yeah.
and we would get that from TCEQ? or-
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, got it. Yeah, because that's way out there from the main cells.
Yes,
and it's-
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Council, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I'll make a motion approving issuance and RFP for the construction of landfill cell Section F at the Alice Municipal Landfill, and authorizing the city manager to approve and sign any and all documents related to the construction and completion of said project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion stands as stated. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Agenda item 11, the council may enter into closed executive session to discuss the following: pursuant to A, Section 551.071, Texas Government Code Attorney Consultation to receive legal advice and counsel in connection with the Memorandum of Understanding between the Alice Police Officers Association and the City of Alice to ratify a provision modifying the entry-level hiring process and procedures under Section 143.034 and 143.025 Texas Local Government Code and Elated legal matters pertaining to collective bargaining. B, Section 551.0871 Texas Government Code Economic Development to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body, and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations. C, Section 551.072, Texas Government Code pertaining to deliberations about real property. D, Section 551.074, Texas Government Code, personnel-related matters, city staff. The time is now 5:27. Council will go into executive session. Thank you.
That's what I told him. What's that?
The mics are gonna be on.
Oh, okay.
They just want to do like a little drive-through convenience store type of thing.
Can I go by my courts and Mickey's Malt Liquor?
Turn it
No,
off.
everybody but you.
turn the video.
Welcome back. The time is now 7:14, and this meeting is now in session. Agenda item number 12, the council may return to open session, deliberate, consider, and take any action necessary as a result of discussion in the immediately preceding agenda item number 10. We'll start with A, Section 551.071, Texas Government Code, to receive legal advice and counsel in connection with the Memorandum of Understanding between the Alice Police Officers Association and the City of Alice to ratify a provision modifying the entry-level hiring process and processes and procedures under Section 143.034 and 143.025 Texas Local Government Code and Elated legal matters pertaining to collective bargaining. Counsel?
Do we want any discussion on this, or we're good?
Any questions? Any concerns?
I think we're good on this.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing the memorandum of understanding regarding temporary suspension of civil service rules pertaining to entry-level hiring in the Alice Police Department as presented and signed by the Alice Police Officers Association.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Agenda item 12B, Section 551.087 Texas Government Code, Economic Development, to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations. Counsel, Mr. Burke, any questions?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No question.
Mr. Crisp?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion allowing Mr. Martinez with the EDC to enter into negotiations in regards to tax abatement and bring back before council for review and approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion stands as stated. Section 12C, Section Agenda 12C, Section 551.072, Texas Government Code pertaining to deliberations about real property. Counsel, any questions? Okay,
No questions.
I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'd recommend no action.
Yeah, I was
Mayor.
going to say at this time, I feel we need no action
No
there.
action?
No action.
Okay. Agenda item 12D, Section 551.074, Texas Government Code, Personnel-Related Matters, City Staff.
Mayor, I'd like to
Counsel?
recommend no action on this one as well right now.
Okay. Council, okay with no action?
Okay, with no action.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Agenda item 13, discussion regarding 2-year grant information for Border Star. Councilman Ron Burke? Your
Yes.
agenda item?
Mayor, in light of the fact that Barbara's not here and the chief familiarity over the 2-year period is not there, I would be open to just, what?
Table?
Tabling, yes.
Okay. Motion to table?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Mr. Burke. Agenda item 14, discussion regarding grants we have applied for and grants we plan to apply for related to COVID-19. Councilman Ron Burke, that's your agenda item.
Yes. In light of the fact that, unless Patrick has new
Patrick has
information. Okay.
I have some information.
Oh,
I can-
okay,
I
thank
can provide. So, there are a number of different coronavirus-related grant opportunities that are presenting themselves, and it's kind of a developing situation. There's stuff that comes out almost every day, pretty much. Some of it is for local governments to be able to apply for, and some of it's for small businesses and things like that. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of that stuff. Specifically to local governments, there are a couple of them that have already come out that we've already applied to, and I believe it was at the last council meeting, or it may have been the council meeting before, council authorized, it did pretty much like a blanket statement authorizing the city manager to apply for coronavirus funding when it becomes available. And we've done that. The Assistance to Firefighters grant opened up with a coronavirus-related funding opportunity. We applied for that. It's not a really big grant, but it's still, it would help. We also have the Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance. That one is going to be due the 15th of June, And we're still in talks about what's needed to, or what we're going to be applying for, but we do have an agenda item later on this agenda to seeking permission to be able to apply. That one requires a specific resolution, so that's the purpose of it being on. It didn't qualify with that blanket or blanket action item that you guys did. We also have, there's some DOT or FAA funding for the airport that's been made available to us, and I'm not sure if that one requires a resolution, but if it does, Barbara will be back with you asking for that. And then, of course, there's also the FEMA, the TDEP funding, which is basically the reimbursement. That's a 75-25 match, so we've got to pay 25% of that. That one won't be, it's available now, but it's not, it doesn't close out until 30 days after the end of the disaster, which we don't have an end yet in sight for this disaster. And aside from that, there's also the Coronavirus Relief Act that we've already prepared the paperwork to be able to submit for. And that one, there's specific money that's already designated per local government. So county, cities already have those funds that have been allotted to them. We just have to fill out the paperwork and jump through the hoops that we need to get through to be able to acquire that funding. So we're working through that process. Some of it's going to be some immediate funding, and some of it is funding that comes a little bit later on down the road. So that's the coronavirus funding so far. There's also another one that we don't have an official opening date yet. We just know that it's coming. It's going to be a COVID hazard mitigation grant that's going to help do things to mitigate COVID from happening again, I guess. I don't know the specifics on what they're going to require. Some of them are very specific, like the Office of Bureau of Justice. That one is specific to police and fire. So you can only buy certain things for police and fire, or get reimbursed for police overtime, fire overtime that's related to COVID-19. So they're real specific grants. So not everything is qualifies for every single one of these grants. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Burke?
No.
No? Okay. Counsel?
No.
I have one question.
Ms. Bowen?
Patrick, the Coronavirus Relief Act funding, is that specific to one thing, or do we know yet what we can use it for?
That is specific to anything, it's got a really long list of
Okay.
what you can spend that money on, but it's really, they're following the same guidelines that FEMA follows for the reimbursement process.
Okay.
So that 75-25 match.
Yes.
Whatever qualifies for that is going to qualify for the Corona Relief Act.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Yes.
Agenda item 15, discuss, consider, and act upon an interlocal agreement with the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Department to join the Jim Wells County Task Force for the purpose of combating crime throughout the jurisdictional limits of the city and county. Chief?
Mayor and council, this is a interlocal agreement brought to us from the sheriff of Jim Wells County. He is very anxious for us to begin working with his people out in the county, particularly for interdiction efforts, and I would recommend it forward to you for approval. I'll answer any questions if I can.
Michael, did we not have one in place?
Yeah, we've had, this is it's a new one
Okay.
that he negotiated with the sheriff.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Burke, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
No questions?
Mr. Chris?
No.
Mr.
Excuse me.
No, we're good.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time, council.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an interlocal agreement with the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Department to join the Jim Wells County Task Force for the purpose of combating crime throughout the jurisdictional limits of the city and county.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 16, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing city staff to submit a grant application to the Coastal Bend Community Foundation for funds to purchase books and accessories to provide participants and families reading together and in the summer reading programs.
Hello.
Ms. Yolanda? Hi.
This is, would be for next summer. We already have funding for this summer. It's just a routine grant that we've been fortunate enough to get. One thing that we're going to do a little bit different this summer is whatever funds that we have, we're going to keep them local to small businesses.
Okay, Ms. Bowen, questions?
No.
Mr. Chris?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Yolanda, is there a match on this?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing the city staff to submit a grant application to the Coastal Bend Community Foundation for funds to purchase books and accessories to provide participants, in family reading together in the summer reading programs.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Sorry
same
about that.
sign? Okay.
Thank
Motion
you,
stands
Yolanda.
as stated. Thank
Thank you.
Agenda item 17, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing city staff to submit a grant application to the Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance for up to 50% reimbursement for the purchase of 12 bulletproof vests under FY 2020 BVP. Chief?
Mayor and council, I'm sure all of y'all are familiar with this grant, if you've been on council for any length of time. This is one of the best things going out there that comes from the government. We anticipate needing 12 ballistics vests over the next year. For that, it'll be about $9,500. We have to pay 50% of that, which would be about $4,800 in the 2021 budget. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
Ms. Bowen? Questions? Ma'am?
No, not at this time, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chris?
Well, these are replacement vests, or these are add-ons, or the combination of both?
It's a combination of all the above. We
Okay.
have several vests that'll be reaching their 5-year life expectancy or due date. Then we have quite a few officers, unfortunately, that are wearing hand-me-down vests from other people. So we kind of got behind in our regular ordering routine, and we're hoping to get caught up between the monies that we still have from the 2018 and 19 grants. And then with this 12, that should get everybody that needs one in a new ballistics vest.
Mr. Chris, any?
No, that's it, thank you.
Mr. Molina?
Chief Davis, was this something that you kind of took on when you came on a while back, or was this already kind of wheels in motion? Just curious.
Well, I guess it was already wheels in motion.
Right.
I mean, the grant was out there, and it just, not all the vests had been ordered.
Perfect.
I think part of the problem was when they had some vacancies during the spring
Right.
and whatnot, that just no one was saying, here, you do this.
Right,
And that's
right.
all that happened.
Appreciate it.
We're back there.
Thank you.
Mr. Molina, any other questions?
No, that's all.
Mr. Burns?
Chief, sometime if you could give some information, or maybe Barbara, on other areas that grant covers, some other aspects of law enforcement equipment or whatever it might cover, if there's any information on that.
Okay, I'll have to research that. I've always known this is
Just curious.
bulletproof.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Not bulletproof,
Appreciate it.
ballistics vest.
Chief, is our K-9 equipped with a bulletproof vest?
I do not know that. I haven't been around, but I'll find out.
That would mean a lot to me if we could
Okay.
do that. I know it exists, but I thought that we didn't have one, so.
Well, we can,
Look into it.
Never thought about
Another
that.
one.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
They do get killed.
I'd like them to have one.
Yeah.
there again, it's kind of like, a lot of times I think something, it sounds like a good idea to me, but then maybe the heat of working down here,
That was an issue when my son was a king.
was it? Okay.
Did they have one, Ms. Bowen? They did not have one? So like to put it on maybe to go? I mean, anyway.
Well,
Just
When in
a-
action, when in action.
I mean, if they were, gonna go into maybe a building search and they thought there might be an armed
Right, right.
suspect, certainly.
Yeah, 'cause we
If you
have-
had it, you'd
we've-
put it on.
Had issues, questions about that. Okay, council, if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city staff to submit a grant application to the Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance for a 50% reimbursement for the purchase of 12 bulletproof vests under the FY 2020 BVP.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Thank
Okay,
you.
Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Chief. Agenda item 18, consider and act upon adopting a resolution ratifying the submittal of Homeland Security Grant Program application number 3921502 titled Jim Wells 2019 Operation Stone Garden for overtime for the police department, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official and authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city, and providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, that the city will return all funds to the office of the governor.
Mayor and council, this is a grant under the Homeland Security. It's actually one they had the previous year. It was filed on behalf of, or filed by the Sheriff's Department. We are a participant in the grant. Our share that we get from it is $22,000. We've already started the paperwork to purchase 4 MDCs for our cars, and that would be $11,000, and then the balance of $11,000 would go to patrol. There are no matching funds for this grant, and we would recommend it to you for approval.
Okay. Ms. Bowen, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Chris?
All right, refresh me, what's an MDC?
An MDC is mobile data computer,
Oh, okay.
as opposed to a mobile data terminal, which is just a dumb terminal. So I apologize.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
But
I think in the past, they've just called them laptops.
It is what it is.
No, that's good. That's good. Getting technical, we like that.
No
Thank you.
other questions, Mr.?
No, that was it?
Okay, Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Burke?
No.
All right. Thank you, Chief. I'll entertain adopting a resolution at this time.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion adopting a resolution ratifying the submittal of a Homeland Security Grant Program, application number 3921502, titled Jim Wells 2019 Operation Stone Garden, for overtime for the police department, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official and authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city, and providing assurance that in the event of loss, misuse of grant funds, that the city will return all funds to the office of the governor.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, council. Agenda item number 19, discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the submittal to the office of the governor of grant application number 4132001, titled Responding to COVID-19, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official and authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city of Alice, and providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, that the city will return all funds to the office of the governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division. Patrick?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This was one of the grants that was on the list earlier in the earlier agenda item. This one needs a specific resolution authorizing us to be able to apply for this. We're working, this one's very specific to police and fire operations, and it's through the office of the Bureau of Justice. So the same one that we did with the bulletproof vest, it's the same state agency that we're getting this from. So we need a resolution, and currently we're meeting to try to figure out exactly what we can get paid for with this. Like I said earlier, they're very specific, but we do have some costs that we incurred with standing up the third fire station, and then some overtime costs at the police and fire departments. So whatever qualifies to be able to apply for, we're planning to apply for, try to see some of that reimbursement back, and then we also want to see what in the future we're going to anticipate spending, and then try to get some of that on these ones.
Very good. Mr. Burke, any questions?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Chris?
This is a minimum amount of 10,000,
Minimum is
and
10,000.
maximum is,
I think it was. I don't think there was a cap on it.
okay. That was the only question.
No other questions, Mr. Chris?
No.
Okay, Ms. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay. And Patrick, that has a deadline, right?
This was June 15th.
I'll entertain a motion at this time, council.
Mayor, I move for the adoption of a resolution authorizing the submittal to the office of the governor of grant application number 4132001, titled Responding to COVID-19, designated the city manager as the city's authorized official, and authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, reject, alter, or terminate a grant on behalf of the city, and providing assurance that in the event of loss or misuse of grant funds, that the city will return all funds to the office of the governor, Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign? Okay. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Mr. Molina. Agenda item 20, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing submittal SFY 2020 flood project abridged application for planning phase activities and construction rehabilitation phase activities regarding flood projects, authorizing the city manager to sign the abridged application. Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good evening, actually.
Yes.
Thanks for having us here. We have a couple of handouts. I know your time is valuable, and I know you've been here sometimes, so I'm going to try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. This is one.
Okay.
And this is the other. Let me see, here we have. Okay. Yes, that's it. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So while we're passing on the handout, let me introduce myself. My name is Ivan Luna, and I'm with International Consulting Engineers. It's a firm based out of Corpus Christi, and I'm here representing, of course, our members and Mr. Jesus Jimenez, which is the CEO and owner of the company. With that in mind, there was an opportunity when the Texas Water Development Board came out for the Flood Infrastructure Fund, and there's some monies available for it. So in the interest of time, let me go straight to the meat. So the Texas Water Development Board has allocated, we'll find that on the third page, $793 million, okay, for different projects. Those projects are going to be divided into 4 different categories, and I'll be going through those categories shortly so we can understand each one of those. The important thing, other than the monies, there has no ceiling and no floor. So that's very, very, very important. Now, another important part here is the deadline. June 15th to submit the average application. So, as you know, time is of the essence. I think I heard you say that, right? Time is of the essence. So, let me get started. The second handout over here that you have, this one, it's a condensed version of a 2-hour workshop with the Texas Water Development Board held probably a couple of months ago, 2 months ago, or a little bit less. The point is, for the project categories, there are 4 main categories. First category, flood protection planning for watersheds. Second category, planning, acquisition, design, and construction rehabilitation. Third category, matching funds for federal awards, and that's one of the categories that we're going to focus today. Okay, but I just want to go over the rest. And category 4, measures immediately effective in protecting life and property. Now, in the interest of time, again, we are communicating with your team members. We communicated Mr. Salisbury right here. We communicate with them, so we have an idea of some of the projects you have. We communicate with your team, and we understand that there's some work with FEMA already done. That's why from all the applications that we're working with, yours is one of the few that have actually that category number 3. How that works is if you have a project and you've been working with a federal government, federal entity, in this case FEMA, and you have you're invited to participate, and there's a grant, but they're put 75% and you're responsible for 25%. This is where this category comes into play. Okay, and according, we have to run some math, and we'll tell you, okay, you probably qualify for a 75%, 25 match. 75% grant, 25% loan. So that means if you're responsible for a certain part, if your project is selected, then the Texas Water Development Board will invite you to submit the full application, and if that is successful, then they will cover 75% of that part that you have with the grant, and then you're responsible for the rest. There's a program where they have a 0% interest loan. So you'll hear me go through these categories, and then there's a grant part and there's a loan part, and that loan is a 0% interest. So with that in mind, let me just quickly go over this program. Okay, so with category 1 is for fraud protection planning and watersheds. So category 1, believe it or not, is one of the categories that the Texas Water Development Board is paying more emphasis. It's actually, they're going after a lot of planning, so that way when projects are proposed, a lot of construction projects, not every construction project is going to be funded because those 790-some million are going to go like that. So, but what they want is they want to make sure that communities have a plan and they have a master drainage plan, identifying those projects, So when a project is proposed, there's a background behind it. There's some analysis, there's some hydrology behind that. There's some math, there's some engineering, and now you know that those projects are viable. Okay, so that is something that is very important for all communities. From what we look at the information that we have, I think the latest one you have is from 2001, more or less, drainage information?
That's the latest master plan that I found. It's from 2001. There may be a newer one out there, but that's the newest one I found.
Okay, and for that, the Texas Water Development Board, and according to the preliminary numbers that we run, you would qualify, or City of Alice will qualify for a 90% grant, 10% loan, and 0%, should you decide to consider that. Okay. The second category, I'm sorry, going too fast. So this chart over here is intended to indicate that depending on where you fall, depending on your annual median household income, if it's less than 75% of the state annual median household income, you will qualify for this. Now, like I said, we run some preliminary numbers. We feel that you will qualify for this category. Should you choose to consider into this category, would you get a 90% grant and a 10% local share for a large master drainage plan. Okay. Category 2. If you had any projects, construction projects, rehabilitation projects, for example, one of our clients we're working with them so they can widen and deepen a channel and clear the channel so that way we can get rid of some bottlenecks. That would qualify as a Category 2 project. For the City of Alice, according to our preliminary numbers, that means that should you choose to pursue that category, you would fall into a 45% grant, 55% loan at 0% interest. Okay, so those numbers are good, but given your previous work and all the effort you put into, let me go into category number 3. Again, I'm sorry. All this is the logical sequence to see where you do. We did all the math, so we don't have to follow through that. But I'll be glad to entertain any questions later, and if I can't answer the question this time, I will get you the answer very soon. All right. Category 3, federal award matching funds. Okay, this is where your projects we feel my fault. So, in working with Mr. Salisbury and his team over there, we identified a couple of projects, and if I may, Mr. Salisbury, I think it's in our agenda memo. For some of those projects, please correct me if I'm wrong, jump in at any time, are the widening of Pintas Creek, south of Highway 44, the improving drainage and other utilities in the Virginia Street area, improving Pintas Creek channel, northwest of Highland Street Bridge, correct? Improving Woodland Freer Minor Drainage Channel, and improving South Reynolds Street drainage near Elated Street. Right? So these are some of the projects that were already identified under the FEMA and the disaster under FEMA. And I think there are already 3 numbers, DR 4416, 4454, and 4466. So what that means to us is there's already some preliminary work. You're probably invited or to participate in some of these. So that will qualify from our preliminary work into category number 3. Okay. For category number 3, let me reiterate again. According to our preliminary numbers, the City of Alice will qualify for a 75% grant and a 25% loan. Those numbers are awesome. When you run the math, your 25 match goes almost to something very, very small. Now that could be covered with a 0% interest loan. All right. Category number 4 is measures immediately effective in protecting life and property. That is, if the City of Alice decides to have an early warning system, like some of the entities we're working with, if some of the creeks are flooding, depending on which creeks, it will have a network where it will alert, where it could have a reverse 911, it could have a different systems of different monitors, so that way drivers could be alerted when something is happening. It could be a visual alert. Some of our clients are choosing to do that. But the most importantly is that whoever is in the actual notification center, in this case in the emergency operations center, in some cities, would be able to have real-time information should something go on. So also the Water Development Board is paying special emphasis on this. And for that, again, according to our preliminary numbers, the City of Alice would qualify for a 70% grant, 30% loan, at 0% interest rate. Okay. I believe I've covered everything that I set myself to do today. Apologies if I was too fast, but I was trying to be vigilant of your time. Do you have any questions for us?
Counsel, Ms. Bowen, any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Chris?
On those 25% matching,
Yes, sir.
would there be the possibility of in-kind or using in-house, or does that not qualify?
According to our information, only Category 1 would do that. So should you choose to do a project in Category 1, master dredge plan, some other work in kind might qualify. So the actual mechanism on that, I'm not too sure, but one of the things that I don't think I mentioned, and one of my colleagues wasn't able to make it today, but he does used to work for the Texas Water Development Board, so he does know how the mechanics work and can help us, navigate through all that red tape, in the good way. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, Mr.
No, that's it.
Mr. Molina?
Okay, what did you say the grant was and the forgiveness on category 2?
On Category 2, for you guys, I would say the grant will be 45% and 55% loan. At 0% interest rate.
Okay, I was kind of confused here.
Yes, sir.
And that's okay, and I appreciate you hanging around. I know it was a long executive session. Thank you for staying, sir. As far as Mr. Luna,
Yes, sir.
as far as the categories 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Yes, sir.
where do these projects fall into place as far as, the widening of Pintas Creek and all the items that are I guess, indicated here on the agenda item?
Okay, so every project that has already been mentioned and approved and invited for a second round through FEMA, those projects will fall into Category 3. Okay, what we could do, Category 3, what we could do also, we could put those projects under Category 2, just because, as a fail-safe mechanism. Now, something very important to mention, just because you get invited by the Texas Water Development Board to submit a full application, and even if when they submit, even if you are the person who get it, you don't need to take that. You can make the choice, you know what, at this point in time, the matching is too much, FEMA didn't come for us, and these projects, we just want to go with this, even though you submitted, City Valley submitted different applications, okay? So that is, from our point of view, where we stand, I think it's a win-win scenario for everybody. Now, to reiterate, Councilman Molina, your question, your projects, the ones that already have some work with FEMA, it will go into Category 3. And that would be a 75% grant and 25% loan, sir.
With the 0%,
0% interest rate.
right?
Yes.
So what you're telling me is all these projects are all Category 3?
We need to go look at the application from FEMA. From what I understand, all these projects are included, or at least most of them. Now, if outside those projects you have some key projects that you feel are important, some projects, for example, mentioned in your 2001 drainage plan that didn't make it to this, to the FEMA, then we can include those under Category 2, with the idea in mind that if you should get selected and selected to go to the second round, then you would have to, that will qualify you for a 45% grant and 55% loan, okay? Because you were not invited by FEMA before. That category, I want to reiterate something. That Category 3 is a very rare category because not everybody has done all this type of work. So some of our clients don't have the luxury. You are in a very good position, and from what we came here to ask is just to authorization to continue working with Mr. Salisbury, his team, and whoever else you want us to work with, so that way we can submit the applications. Now, when we work with that, there's not going to be anything we submit without you guys knowing. So our intention is to develop a plan, very, very quick plan of action, and coordinate with Mr. Salisbury, and make sure that we have, okay, these are the projects we want to go through. This is which the City of Alice wants. We plan to work through Mr. Salisbury or whoever you ask us to do to make sure that whatever application is going to be submitted is exactly what you guys want, and you're aware of exactly what we're applying for. We're very transparent. We don't want to do anything or give the impression we're doing anything outside of what you want to see.
So these are some of the things that we know that we want to get done, and we're trying to see really is there a way to get some grants to help pay for these things, and then we determine, depending on what comes back from our development board, whether we even move forward with it or not. But if we can get some assistance in paying for them, that's what we're kind of looking for, because these things will come back for approval. We don't have to accept these on the terms, but we want to see what's out there and what we can get.
Okay.
Great.
Mr. Molina, any other questions?
I guess my question is like, why are we in a rush? Is this the one that has a deadline or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. June 15.
Yes, June
So why are we in a rush? I guess my question.
You mean?
Why are we
the
crunching
June?
right now? I mean, like, we've always had these issues, right? So.
Oh, yeah, no.
We were waiting on.
You mean to meet the June?
Right, uh-huh.
I mean, we've been working on these for a while, all these, the streets, and we've had several meetings. We're just here, like, this is the time where we're here to, I wouldn't say that we're in a rush, but this is the meeting that we have to get these done to be able to apply for it. Because we've had meetings on these issues, the ones that we need to do. You know, this is Pintus Creek, what do we do with it? You know, the work that we did initially on there, just cleaning it up did wonders for us. And now we're thinking, you know, we can help mitigate some of that flooding. So we've been working on these, but I think it's just the timing of, this is the meeting where we have to get it approved if you want to, you know, move forward and see what kind of offerings we can get from the Water Development
And
Board.
who all is going to be doing this work?
We are International Consulting Engineers. We are
Okay,
proposing-
you are.
Yes, sir.
Your company.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yes, sir. We're
Okay.
proposing with the applications, you know, we'll submit the
Right, for
applications.
us,
work with you.
for the
Yes, sir.
funding, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I just got kind of confused because you said something like you would determine whether it needed to go to category 2 if you needed to, and I'm like, well, why would I want to go to 45, 55? You know,
No,
so
that's in case you have two
some
reasons.
outliers,
Yeah, in case you have other projects.
right?
Other projects that are not listed, then, you know, those will go into category 2.
So this is just for the ones that are here,
That is
that are
correct.
category 3.
That is correct, but
Okay.
I just thought it would be wise just to let you know that.
I appreciate that.
And,
Yeah.
and also that it wouldn't be, it would be advantageous, and that's some decision you guys make, if those projects that you're applying for could also apply for category 2, because it would fit into both categories, you know?
Right.
And just because they get approved from, well, they will get approved on category 3, and not necessarily 2, right? So you wouldn't lose anything, so that would be a way to put more eggs in different baskets, if you would. So, but of course, that's something that we would coordinate with Mr. Salisbury, whoever you appoint. No.
And we wouldn't have anything that would qualify for category 1?
Yes,
Oh, we would?
yes, a drainage master plan, which you can use, which, in all honesty, a lot of the, should something happen in the future, or other opportunities might happen, you already have a plan, master drainage plan. The last attempt was in 2001, so it has to be updated. So for that, again, yes, you would be a candidate for that, for category 1, for a master drainage plan that you can use, and then all the engineering behind that, it could be shared, all the information, because one thing we see is that some of our cities that we're working with, some other counties, they have a lot of paper files, but they don't have the actual simulation files.
Okay.
So things of that nature.
But the category 1, that's for future projects, right?
Yeah.
Right? Everything here is category 3, right, Joe? Or?
Yeah, can I kind of speak to this for just a moment?
Right. I apologize, I'm kind of all mixed up here.
I kind of set the priority on our drainage by what's currently flooding, basically overbanking
Makes sense.
and flooding neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
And because that, if I could put dollars towards planning or something that's currently flooding, I'd much rather try to stop it from flooding right now.
Right.
And then we could work, after we get that fixed, then we can work back towards a master plan and take care of some of these areas that are pretty critical. So, and get a master plan, that'll help us when we go for future grants also.
Some of these, with that said, are critical, like Highland in that area. I know
Yes.
after we cleaned, but there's always been that flooding there before the cleaning that we did
Right.
when you came in. That wouldn't qualify us for 4, because I know that water would go onto that property.
Right, yeah, and yeah, we're looking for that to be resolved quickly.
Okay.
yeah, we're actually looking.
And the only reason I bring it up is because, like, our financial situation is gonna get really bad over the next few months.
Right.
And it's real easy to say, all right, but it's grants, but then when the matching is,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So-
understandable, and I hope there's kind of an understanding here that maybe our match might be 25, but if there are things we can do with our, negotiating, possibly closer to 10%.
sure.
I really hope we kind of have an awareness that that's really where we want to be.
When
And,
is the award? When would we find out if we were awarded?
I'd say, I think the applications are, the average application is June 15, then by August, they would do, shortly after that, they would, the award will be given. So,
It'll be in our next budget.
I
Right.
think we had a conversation with somebody that you will probably find out before
Budget.
FEMA lets you know.
But it
Oh,
won't
I said budget.
affect us until the next budget.
When is your cycle?
September.
September,
September
we
30th.
have to close it by September
It's
10th,
October through September.
but it starts in October.
You'll probably get them for, you'll probably get notified very close to or at the ending.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's say we apply for these grants and our situation is much dire than we think it is. Are we hurt, does it hurt our rating, does it put us on a different kind of list if we're granted and don't accept? Do you understand what I'm asking? Is the Texas Water Development Board, in regards to these things, are they gonna look at us different the next time?
No, sir. It's a process. It's not, from what we understand, they're not gonna block you. They're not gonna say, you're gonna apply, you're not welcome to apply for next time. Like I said, we have a ex-member of Water Development Board working with us, and that's the information that he conveyed with us, to us. So as far as we know now, you wouldn't be blackballed or you wouldn't be,
Yeah, because
no more
like you said,
$80.
love to apply, but when it comes back and that dollar amount's a little bit higher or whatever, like, man, as much as we want to be able to do this, we just can't afford it.
And Councilman, to be honest with you, that's the situation with a lot of the potential applicants from the Texas Water Development Board. So that's why they're making a lot of effort. That's why you see they're incentivizing a lot the planning part, because you can propose a lot of projects, right? And not every construction project is gonna get approved. Like I mentioned,
Right.
it's big, but it's not that big. What they're planning on doing, they're focusing a lot on the planning, because they want to make sure that you all have a plan. I said, this is what I want to do. This is what, because it might fly here, but when you take a regional look at, more than the Cedar Valley, what is really going on?
Where's there?
That's what they want to look at. That's why they're incentivizing so much the category 1, and you don't have to do that. But it's always, like Mr. Salisbury said, it's always a good tool to have. It's an excellent tool to have, because that way you already have your project, it's some engineering, and you can say, okay, this project's when, at least when we do it, when you do a master drainage plan, you do go up to a close to 35%. You go up to a estimated construction cost, and you go to a design, a preliminary design. So that way you have things ready, and that's what most agencies like to see. So, sorry, anything else?
Thank
No,
you.
that's good. Mr. Molina, any other
Mr.
questions?
Lewin, thank you for
Yes, sir.
educating me on that and us. I appreciate that. Mr. Salisbury, do you have an idea more or less what the, like a rough guesstimate as far as dollar amount? Like just for example, widening Pintas Creek, just off the top of your head? Just
No,
out
I'm
of curiosity.
not for certain about the cost on those. I'm certain we
thank you.
may be one of these deals where we pick and choose maybe what we can do.
Right.
There's kind of that factor built in. And then there's just, right now, and also if we can pull off that 25% and pull it down a little bit.
Right.
That may change the outlook on it also, so.
Okay.
But no, I don't have particular figures on each one.
That's just my curiosity because I'm just wondering where we're going with this, but I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Councilman, if I may elaborate on that point, and that's actually part of the information we want to give to Mr. Salisbury. That's part of, we want, before the application, they're not just let you apply. They want to make sure you have a good project description and a good project budget. What do you think it's going to cost? And so that's our job, to make sure we do that. So we will prepare that for your information, and then you'll have a menu that says, you know what, we want to go with this, that, and that. Because should we get accepted and we want to go for it, this is our part. This will be our part. So we will be able to prepare that in different scenarios, and that's part of what we intend to do.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Burke, any questions?
Yeah, my question kind of is associated with both of theirs. Mr. Sparta, are we keeping like a running total of all these grants that we're applying for? Are you comfortable with the matching funds that could be
Yeah, and
necessary?
Barbara has those now, but the same thing, we're not, just because we're applying for these,
Right.
we want to see whether we can get them. We're not necessarily going to come back, and if it's, if something's a 40% loan, then maybe we just don't need to do it. We want to see what we can get done with other people's funds, like, the Water Development Board or federal grants, because these projects here, what we're looking at is we're looking at the places that tend to flood more. The Pintas Creek and Highland, the Freer Place that backs up onto Woodlawn. And some of these aren't real big projects, and if we can get, a grant to pay for it, we're gonna do that. And if it's not a big match, we'll bring it forward, but we're certainly aware that, there's, the funds are not unlimited. And so, I don't anticipate every one of these projects being able to get done.
Right.
And-
Mr.
but-
Esparza, he poses a great concern, as does Mr. Molina, as does everybody, that, we're kind of at that point where we're realizing that we have committed to a lot of spending because we didn't know we were going to be in this situation. But like the document that you prepared for me that I asked you for months ago, that might be a good, and I was going to
Yeah,
ask you for a revision. If you could provide counsel possibly with that, where, Ms. Bowen, do you agree, or you don't agree?
No, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, the mayor is
I saw your
asked
face,
for
so
it.
I'm like, oh, is this wrong?
No,
No,
I was
but
just
it's a
thinking
good
about
document because it kind of shows us, where we're at in spending and what we have committed, at the time, and then that kind of allows us to move forward.
Yeah, and you're right, the mayor
in
did
the
ask for that a few
next
months ago.
I
and
did,
so-
I did talk to Barbara about that because you had brought that up at one of the council meetings, and it kind of concerned me as well. And she did mention that, usually she doesn't bring anything to the table without confronting you first and checking with the budget and kind of, using your guidelines there. So, yeah, I think.
But for council making
Yeah, for
decisions.
us to decide.
Yeah, because Michael brings, his job is to bring us opportunities such as this that are
Right.
great opportunities for the city. But it's up to, you guys up here to make those decisions whether to move forward or not. So I think that would be a beneficial document for council.
A running spreadsheet would also allow us to prioritize because we
Exactly.
get accepted in August or something like that, where we may say, well, do we really want to do this because we feel that maybe the one that we might be accepted for in October
Right.
is more beneficial to the citizens and we need to move a different direction.
Right.
So it kind of gives us that list.
The one he prepared is awesome, and it has the dates where I think
Oh, I'd love
Lefty
to see
helped
it.
him
Yeah.
prepare it.
To also give you an idea, sat on your side where we've actually said no to some of these grants because of the match, or, and so it's happened before with the Water Development Board specifically. So we're not opposed to say no, and I'm glad that y'all bring that up, because, there's a point past the point of rescue, and when that happens, you guys will know that this is it. This is when we say yes, we're signing the documents, but before then, this is getting an idea of what's out there and what the potential is on some of these, yeah.
And it definitely doesn't hurt to apply and just see where we're at. I mean, like you said, it doesn't
Fisky
hurt
had
us.
a good point too, like, does that hurt, we're applying, yes, no, no.
Yeah,
You
and I
know.
just don't want to get, and the other thing too is I appreciate the fact that y'all been bringing forward stuff that needs to be done, right? We're not out there necessarily searching for things to do.
Right.
We're addressing
These are
things that
overdue projects.
eventually we're gonna have to pay for this. And these grant dollars, if we can eliminate cost in any way possible, appreciate the fact that staff and yourselves come forward with this information. But yeah, I think the mayor's right. I think of that list to allow us to prioritize. Of course, there's a need for all of it, right? For the residents that are in those areas, obviously, that's a huge concern for them. So we definitely need to be able to prioritize all of these items that we have on the table. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions, council? Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Motion.
Number 20.
Okay. I'll make a motion to authorize the submittal of, what is that, SF1? SFY 2020 flood project or bridge application for planning phase activities and construction rehabilitation phase activities regarding flood projects, authorizing the city manager to sign the abridged application.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion stands as stated. Thank you. Agenda item 21, hear a presentation from the Alice Fire Department Fire Chief Patrick Thomas regarding statistics for first quarter calls for service. I believe, council, you have an addendum.
It's an attachment.
The one with the
It's the one
clip,
that you put on.
the binder clip. I think it's underneath all this stuff.
I'll find it. Go ahead.
Can these be emailed to us as well?
Yeah, Odie?
No, I just got it today. I can.
Yes, thank you.
I found it, thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, good evening. Oh. All right, so these are the 2020 first quarter general statistics. So the first one is basically just an overall snapshot of the department. And if you'll notice, we are up 6 calls from last year. So the next page is going to have last year's numbers. The total number of fires, the number we're looking at is the fire numbers, not the EMS numbers. So when you look at the fire numbers, we are up 6 calls from this same time last year. But when you look at the year before, we're actually still down. We're down 34 calls from 2018. So we're still lower than what we were before, but we went up a little bit on the total call volume. So the next report that you have before you is the incident breakdown by response district. So there's 3 different reports here, one of them with the city. That's one of them with our entire response district. The second report is going to be the report of just calls that are inside the city limits. And then the third report would be the calls that are outside of the city limits, the county response area that we're responsible for. So that's a breakdown of the types of calls that we're getting in those 3 different areas. And of course, you've got, we have our city broken down into different zones and different fire districts. And so this next one is a breakdown by the districts. So it takes each district and tells you what types of calls we're having in each one of those areas of town. So that's what it means by zone. The zone is the district that we have. And that breaks down all the city and the county, or our area of the county as well. Yeah, I talk faster than I can click. So. All right, let's see if we catch up. Yeah, this is the one per zone. So this report will tell you again, the city's broken down into different zones, and it will tell you how many calls per zone, and then the types of calls that are in there.
Okay.
Okay, that's all right. I don't need to. You guys have it.
We're good.
So the next report is just a more detailed report of each one of those zones, and it's got a different graph, but the same exact thing. It tells you the incident type per zone. And the next one is the next report that I want you to look at is the monthly report. So this breaks down the total number of calls per month. So I've got this year's, and then I've got all of last year's report in there as well, broken down by month, so you can kind of see the trend of where we're at for the year. So when you look at, we're up on all the calls. Now these are total calls, so these numbers include some of those EMS calls, but not specific to the fire calls. So we are up a few, but the majority of those are going to be your EMS related, EMS assisted calls. So when you look at the actual year, for the entire year, we're pretty much on track to stay the same. That we're within give or take a few calls. We're pretty close to being the same for the rest of the year. So I'm not anticipating a huge increase in calls by the end of the year unless something major was to happen. I think we're on track to being around the same numbers that we're going to have that we had last year. When it comes to total call volume. And then of course there's another report in here that gives you the breakdown by day of the week. Busiest day of the week for this quarter is going to be Fridays and Wednesdays go right behind. And then time of calls, the time of day, we've got a report that tells you how many calls we had based on the time of day. And busiest time of day is the busiest times of day are pretty much when everybody's out and about. When people are asleep, we're still getting calls, but not as many. The guys have been working pretty hard. We anticipated a slowdown during March and April, and it did slow down a little bit, but when it came back with a vengeance, so it caught up really quick. It took March.
Chief, have you noticed an increase, like in EMS assist since COVID?
Because of COVID, no, the calls are just taking longer.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of precautions that we have to take. We've got to put extra layers of PPE on. What normally would be a simple call is turned into very complicated calls. There's a lot of PPE involved with protecting the staff. And so where it might have been a 2-person call, it's now a 2-truck call because we're sending an ambulance and a truck because there's a lot of layers of protection that we've got to build in that. So yeah, it has complicated things a little bit.
But I commend you because it seems like you're only seeing, and it's in, a minute or so at it.
We did go up a couple seconds, did you see that?
Yeah, so I mean, you're doing, that's still.
What he's talking about is the average, the response time.
Average response time, so.
Yes.
So even with the additional safety precautions, you guys are on it, so thank you very much for that.
Yep. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 22, hear a presentation from Alice Police Department Chief Ron Davis regarding Alice Police Department operations and updates.
Oh, Mayor and Council, I know this is the last thing y'all can have 4 hours, but unfortunately for you, there's nothing I like to talk about more than bragging about my police department. But anyway, we will keep it brief. I believe, did y'all all receive the memo?
Yes.
That I had a chance to look it over? Basically, that just highlights the things that I see as critical and important that we have to address now. Manpower, we looked at it, had Ricky Sines look at it, and decided that with a little borrowing from CID, we could make patrol a whole lot safer, save quite a bit of overtime each month. Staffing, you can see there we're down 20% overall, sworn 23%. That hurts us, and we need to get back where we've got some people coming in because you're going to have turnover every year, and that's just something that needs to be a long-term strategy. To that end, we've reassigned Sergeant Daniel Elizondo. He was here for a week, and he's hit the ground running. I've been very impressed with someone that's never done staff work before, how well he seems to have adapted to it. So that's really good. He and Anita, I asked him to design a brochure, which y'all seen, and I figured it'd probably be, a rather long process, but once they got the direction, they knocked it out quickly. And, we'll improve, but, we got to take baby steps. Training, to me, if you've never been in a paramilitary organization or the military, it's kind of hard to emphasize how important and how easy it is for people to overlook. It's not important. I'm going to be addressing this with finance and the manager. We need to do a lot more things, and we need to figure out either where we go to get it or who we need to bring here, and we host the classes here for other departments. But that is just something that I've always been big on, and we're a little behind there. The replacement body cam equipment, when I got here, they were just in the process of putting in Panasonic dash cams. Brandon Reynolds and Roger came up with an alternative to using Panasonic products that was cheaper. And it was a body mic provider that's been around for years and seems to serve our purpose better. So, you couple that with the generous donations that we got from the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office. And as I explained here, I won't go through it, we're going to be able to get started literally next week in getting some of this infrastructure in place, getting some cameras on board. There's always bugs. We'll work out the bugs, and then when the grant that Barbara had put together for us and becomes available in September, we've already been awarded that $53,000. We'll be up a couple of months or more ahead of what we were originally looking at. So, kudos to those people that kind of came out of their box and got us to where we are in terms of funding. Leveraging the grant over time, we talked about two of them, Border Star and Stone Garden. That's an opportunity for us, now that you all have approved the interlocal agreement, for us to do some planned interdiction with the Sheriff's Department. It's not as good as sending somebody over there, but this is about the next best thing that I can see right now. Because until we get patrol, we need to put some people in CID before I can send somebody off full-time. But I believe that by using those two grants, which are really nice, I've never walked into a situation where you had an abundance of overtime like this. We can do some good in the interdiction area. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Molina? Mr. Chris?
No, I just wanted to address what we approved earlier in regards to hiring with the memorandum of understanding that was put forward before us. It's more of a statement and you agreeing with it. It's along the lines of saying that pertaining to the entry-level hiring, we're not reducing any standards for what we're expecting out of these officers. What we're actually doing is we're making a change to how many we can test at a time and how long those tests are good for. So, sometimes when things like this kind of go quick on the move and we make changes to hiring, and especially when it comes to the police department and public safety, we need to be a little clearer. So the idea behind what we did earlier was to allow us to actually move forward with hiring, but not reduce the standards for the officers that we hire, correct?
Absolutely. There is, the goal here, there again, is to give us an edge over our competition. Here, it's, we all know the city's better than I do. And when someone comes out of an academy or someone looks around that's already certified, working in an department, is looking for a place to go, they're throwing applications out. And I was talking to the fire chief earlier on. It's usually the first one that makes them a job offer, if they're worthy, is, they get that person. And, anything we can do to shorten our hiring time. The process had been taking, it sounds like, anywhere from close to several months to maybe even longer to get someone hired. I'm going to put the commitment into it that we cut that time down. We go out there, get it done properly, and make a decision and try and be the first bait somebody comes to.
And again, I just wanted to thank you for that. And I just wanted to state that you negotiated, not necessarily negotiated, but you spoke with the Police Officers Association that we have in place, and this was something that they totally agreed with and supported, and went ahead and signed off on it even before we did, in support of the this change, so that, like you said, we can get the right people here quickly. So thank you for all of that.
Well, you bet. I've been very pleased with the enthusiasm of the people most of the people that would come across here.
That was it. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Bowen?
Yeah, I think it's great. You're one step ahead, it seems like, which is awesome to see. And I don't really have a question, but a statement. I have been approached by several people that you're doing a great job, and they love to see the unity that you're working with the other entities. The Sheriff Department, the District Attorney, the public itself are seeing your actions, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. I like your little side note at the bottom. Take a tour of the police
Oh,
department.
yes, thank you for,
I like
I
that.
would invite y'all to come and see our.
I love and appreciate that, Chief.
Did it and done it.
I appreciate that.
So,
Thank you, sir.
Please come by anytime.
Thank you for your
Thank
service.
you, sir.
Thank you. Agenda item 23, adjourn and or consider and act upon adjournment.
May I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. The time is now 8:18 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody here and everybody at home. Good night.